So standard fare will be open late until midnight during the week and 2 a.m. on weekends. So you kind of touched on this, but why was it important for you to have extended late night hours?
For a number of reasons. I think mostly it started from that perspective that Clark touched on, which is, taking care of the hospitality professional here in town, whether it's a hotel, whether it's bar, restaurant. And frankly, we had a conversation recently, and apparently the folks over at Saratoga Hospital are super excited that we're going to be open late.
Oh, that's
all right, which is awesome. So, we wanted to be able to provide a space where people can come in, whether you are a hospitality professional or a wayward traveler getting in town late, right? Being able to come in and have a great meal, not a limited menu, right? Not a edited menu, but you have the full menu until midnight during the week and 2 a.m. on the weekends.
That's impressive.
That was the core idea.
Welcome to the Destination Saratoga All Access Podcast, brought to you by Discover Saratoga. Here is your host, Mackenzie Zarzicki.
This podcast takes you behind the scenes with the people shaping Saratoga County's vibrant culture, rich history, and thriving community. This episode is sponsored by Julie & Co. Welcome back to the Destination Saratoga All Access Podcast. I'm here with Zach Denham and Clark Gale, the talented duo behind Bocage Champagne Bar. And today we're going to talk about their newest venture, Standard Fare. I am beyond excited to give you a first look at this incredible new restaurant located here on Phyla Street in downtown Saratoga Springs. Today, we'll dive into their journey to Saratoga, the inspiration behind Bocage, and what guests can expect from Standard Fare as it gets ready to open its doors on August 15th. Welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
I am so excited for this episode. You two are awesome. I'm so glad you moved here to Saratoga. So what is the relationship between y'all?
Well, not only are we business partners, but we are married, which kind of ties into our Saratoga story, I guess, because we were married at the Adelphi in 2021. And what's so fun is our wedding weekend, we were looking to start a business in Saratoga, the pandemic and the restaurant industry, all that good stuff. We were starting to come up with the idea of maybe it's time for us to do something on our own. Yeah. So a couple of different things we looked at here in town that fell through for one reason or another. And we arrived in town on a Thursday for our wedding weekend. We got a phone call from our realtor on Friday saying, hey, I have this quirky little spot downtown. I don't know if it's of any interest, but if you have time, come and see it.
It used to be the Falafel Den, right?
It was the Falafel Den. So
it's come a long way, guys. You did great.
We came in and we walked in and there was something about it where we looked at each other and we said, okay, wait, this is the Bubble Bar. And so we got married on Sunday and signed the lease on a Tuesday. And I still like to tell everybody who comes in Bocage, especially for the first time, and they find out our story. It's like, yeah, you're sitting in our honeymoon, So that was our journey.
Yeah, we had, as Zach mentioned, we had worked on another project for a little over 2 years, another space in town that we had wanted to do kind of a high-end jazz club. And we just couldn't make it make sense. We went back and forth with contractors and things like that. And we just said, we have to forget about this and stop torturing ourselves, And that's when the space that Bocage is now in sort of fell into our laps. And, we always joke that we have no shortage of ideas or things that we would like to do. After Standard Fare, we have plenty of other ideas that maybe might come to fruition down the line. And so the Champagne Bar was always something we wanted to do. But I think we imagined that it might be more of a retirement kind of vanity project rather than the first one in our portfolio of businesses.
I don't know, maybe concept 3, 4, or 5, where we didn't need it to make money. It was a vanity project and we could just hang around and meet interesting people and drink wine. But
do caviar bumps.
Yeah, I mean, come on. But when the space presented itself to us, it was an epiphany kind of moment.
Yeah.
I think we just walked into the space and we both immediately knew this would be perfect for Bocage. And frankly, in our imaginations, before we ever saw that space, I think we imagined a space that was a little different, maybe a little bigger. I personally saw like warehouse windows, very tall ceilings.
Yeah.
I think we created a lot of the same vibe because I wanted people to leave Bocage, and when they look back at their visit, kind of imagine it with those like bleary white edges, like a dream sequence in a movie.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. What was that experience like? I mean, that location is completely transformed.
It was what's so funny is, Clark and I always joke, it doesn't matter what type of space we go into, if it was a former restaurant or not. We always think, oh yeah, it's going to be a low lift, no problem. It used to be a food service place anyway. And both of our projects so far have become completely larger in scale. That was a complete to the studs reno.
Wow.
We might be perfectionists just a little bit.
Hey, join the club. What is it like opening a business with your partner, and how has it affected your relationship?
Yeah, so from a work life perspective, we do get asked from time to time, what is it like to work and live with, your partner? And what's, to most, it could be difficult. And from time to time, it, we're human. We'll roll our eyes at each other and be like, we'll table that and we'll come back to it later. But much like with our planning our wedding and planning vacations and building Bocage and building Standard Fare, Clark and I are very much in sync. We have the same goals, the same drive, the same vision. Sure, the details from time to time vary based on human to human. That's nature. But we don't really have disagreements. We don't go behind closed doors and yell at each other, and then come back out and talk to the team or whatever. We're just not those people. But I think because we share a lot of the same visions and drive for our professional lives and our personal lives, it doesn't get in the way.
Yeah, I think Zach and I are both very direct people. So typically we don't harbor a long like resentment of a conversation we had a week ago or something like that. We just tend to address things when they come up. And then the other side of that coin is I think that we both are, not to say necessarily that we have short memories, but that we don't dwell on when we disagree on something. We just say, okay, yep. You make a good point. Let's move on.
I love that. So you've opened all kinds of businesses throughout the country and London. How has that experience shaped what you wanted to create here in Saratoga?
I think that we're both very fortunate to have had a lot of exposure, to different types of concepts and maybe ones that don't necessarily exist when you leave a major metropolitan area. And so I think when we speak about Bocage and also Standard Fare a little bit, I think part of it was our feeling that, the people of Saratoga, both the locals and the tourists, but really especially the locals who live here, many of us are very well traveled and we have had really great food and dining and hotel experiences and things like that.
Yeah.
And there are just some things that didn't maybe exist in Saratoga already. And so I think a part of it was that I love it when people think that maybe we created the idea of a champagne-focused bar or a sparkling-focused bar. I hate to burst that bubble and take it a notch, but we did not.
You invented it for us. So
exactly.
We appreciate you.
But I think we brought that idea here. And so I guess a little bit of it is being able to take some of these things that we've seen done beautifully other places and bring them home.
I love that. That's a great answer. Love it. So we talked a little bit about Bocage, but what inspired the concept of a champagne bar? You talked a little bit about your world travels, and what has it been like owning and running this business?
Yeah, the concept of the champagne bar was something that we've always kicked around. We've been to several, whether it was in the city or in Europe. And when we started visiting Saratoga fairly frequently before the wedding, we would go and dine and drink in places. And, it always came to the conversation of, what would we do here? What's not here that we would patronize,
Yep.
right? And, as wine lovers, and champagne fans, we kind of wanted to bring a concept that made people feel like they were in a comfortable space that's a friend's space. We wanted to kind of break down that barrier of entry for people. A lot of people hear champagne and there's, ooh, I'm scared. Ooh, it's expensive. Ooh, I don't know anything about it. And so we wanted to create a space for people, A, where we would hang out, B, in a space that is super comfortable and chic, and people can come in and explore or, learn something.
Yeah.
And I think we really were successful in that way. And I will attribute Bocage's success to Bocage's scale. Right? Having a space that is that small and that intimate, it really kind of just lends itself to a certain point of a certain level of service, a certain level of product. And so we were really able to kind of tailor everything that we set out to do and really create a boutique experience for our guests.
Yeah, if I can back up and add a little something to that, I think for a lot of people, there's this idea that we can only enjoy sparkling wine when it's a special occasion, right? And that's something that's sort of culturally American. That's not the case everywhere around the world. So something we kind of set out to do was to maybe change that perception. And if we can't change that perception, then maybe change the perception of what's worth celebrating in our lives, right?
Love that.
So if you have been, wanting to buy a new couch for, a year, and you finally did it today, come out and celebrate.
Love that.
Or, whatever little reason you can think of to come up with.
The kids are at camp, grandma, and you got an afternoon to yourself, that's worth celebrating.
Totally. I was going to say, I really feel like Bocage has become a local favorite here in Saratoga. I myself enjoy to go, whether it's for a drink before or after dinner. It's a great late night spot. The caviar bumps, which I have been too afraid to try, but I would love to. It's just so classy. But like you said, it's still very approachable.
Yeah, I agree. And what's so fun is we're year 3, and we made 3 years in April for Bocage. And what's so fun at this stage is, yes, to your point, I do feel like we can say we are part of the fabric of downtown as a mainstay, right? Yeah. And what's so awesome is we have an amazing following of self-proclaimed bubbleheads who, really, really, really keep the place alive.
Love that.
And we have a really great, diverse group of people who come in. And, we also wanted to build a spot that wasn't just for track season, right?
Yeah.
While track season is exciting and awesome for all of us here in Saratoga, there are 9 other months in the calendar year that, people live here. So how can we connect with the community? And not only did the community welcome us, but I think we've been able to really connect with them as well.
It's funny. I was talking to Abby earlier, and we were recounting the story that I've told her a number of times, which is when we first were building Bocage and we were getting into the final stages, we still had paper in the windows, and I would sit in there every morning, early in the morning on my laptop working on whatever I was working on. And a few times I heard people walk by, and you don't know anyone is inside with the paper on the windows and things like that. And you'd hear people say things like, ooh, a champagne bar. We'll see how that goes, or that'll never work, And now here we are 3.5 years later. And another thing I wondered, and maybe part of it based on overhearing some of those conversations, was champagne bar. I think that we'll be busy because people, as I said, think of champagne as something to celebrate. There's a lot of celebrations that happen in Saratoga, whether it's track related or it is a gala or some sort of philanthropic cause or a wedding, But I wondered, will we have regulars, or will people just think this is just a place to go for special occasions? And we really have a great solid base of regulars.
No, we really are. We're beyond lucky and grateful for the people in Saratoga who have made the Bubble Bar their cheers, and it makes it fun for us.
Yeah.
You're only as good as you were yesterday. So by having those people who appreciate the time and attention that we take in our menus, it keeps us on our toes because they're constantly in a mode of what's next? What else have we not tried?
Yeah.
And it keeps it fun for us and it keeps it fun for our team as well.
Yeah.
Right. It keeps the engagement.
I love that. Well, congratulations on 3 years. That's very exciting. And I follow you along on Instagram, and you're always doing something new and innovative, hopping on the holiday trends or whatever's happening in the community. And I do think it's important to know, too, it's not just champagne. Right. I've had champagne, I've had wine, and I've also had a martini. So there's so many options there for people who are visiting.
Bocage is for everyone.
I love it. Now, here's a quick message from our sponsor. If you're ready to live in a vibrant downtown full of arts, activities, shopping, fine dining, and world-class thoroughbred racing, or you're drawn to the Adirondack Park with its lakes, trails, festivals, and restaurants, it's time to call Julie & Co. Realty, LLC, your hometown brokerage with local experts. Julie & Co. Realty, LLC gives you the insider's advantage on what's available in Saratoga Springs, the Capital Region, and the Adirondack Park. And with realtors who specialize in lakefront properties, second homes, historic homes, land and commercial listings, they have the premier agent you need to help you buy or sell with confidence. For more information, visit juliecorealty.com. So what have you learned from Bocage that has influenced your approach to standard fare?
I think you hit the nail on the head. Part of it is the completely different aspect in that so many people think of Bocage as somewhere that, first of all, maybe it's too fancy for today. Today's not the right day to go. Or I don't like champagne. Like they already think, even if they haven't come in and maybe allowed us to guide them through some other options, they have this idea. We talk about this with our guests a lot. For most people, sparkling wine is something that they have in a mimosa at brunch, or they had at a toast at a wedding, right? And there is so much more to the world of sparkling wines. You have pet nats that often taste like sour beers or hazy IPAs.
Oh, cool.
You can have, sparkling reds, and sparkling wines can be all over the map. The average person just hasn't experienced that many of them. Right.
Or they don't know they have.
True.
So that being a potential obstacle for some new people to ever give us a shot. Also, the idea that it could be special occasions, very small. So I think we took all of those things and said, for our next concept, what would we want to do? Because we've made so many great customers who have become friends with each other because they've sat next to each other at Bocage.
The beauty of not having a TV in the room.
Ooh, yes.
You have to make friends.
In thinking about our next project, we really wanted something that would feel welcoming to everyone.
Yeah.
And accessible to everyone and familiar and comfortable for everyone.
Yes. What we wanted to do with standard fare is, what can we do while Bocage has kind of become the everyday place for a group of people, right? What can we do to not only offer that established group of people a completely different experience, but moreover, how do we expand that group of people and give ourselves an opportunity to make a new regular or broaden our audience base.
And I have one other thing that I think we learned from Bocage, and I guess this was something we already knew, but especially in that first year when we opened, it was very often Zach or I or both of us that were closing the restaurant every night.
Yep.
And you get out of work by the time you close everything up. Our only option after working all day, it was maybe McDonald's.
Yeah.
And so that was also something that we wanted to take to standard fare and make sure that all of those folks in our hospitality community here in Saratoga who work so hard taking care of all of us all day long can get out of work and have a nice, comfortable, proper meal as well.
So that actually brings me to one of my next questions. So standard fare will be open late until midnight during the week and 2 a.m. on weekends. So you kind of touched on this, but why was it important for you to have extended late night hours?
For a number of reasons, I think. Mostly it started from that perspective that Clark touched on, which is, taking care of the hospitality professional here in town, whether it's a hotel, whether it's bar, restaurant. And frankly, we had a conversation recently, and apparently the folks over at Saratoga Hospital are super excited that we're going to be open late.
Oh, that's great.
Which is awesome. So, we wanted to be able to provide a space where people can come in, whether you are a hospitality professional or a wayward traveler getting in town late, right? Being able to come in and have a great meal, not a limited menu, right? Not a edited menu, but you have the full menu until midnight during the week and 2 a.m. on the weekends.
That's impressive.
That was the core idea. And then now, in a post-COVID world, the hospitality industry has made a few modifications here and there. And, we're hoping by going back to having, frankly, at one time, which was quote unquote like normal business hours in this industry, hopefully, other restaurants and bars in town will follow suit and be able to just be here for the community a little bit more than we are now. So I'm hoping that we can really kind of cultivate bringing back that late night opportunity for a good meal. I mean, like, let's be real. When we were young people in New York, the pregame was at 9. The dinner res was at 10:30. You roll up at the club at 1:30. It's like that was how it was. So let's bring back like that kind of, let's have a late dinner and they go to whatever late night spot is here in town. I think that's a whole cultural moment that we could bring back, and I think that's really fun.
I love that, and I love the idea of it being food and not just drink. Like you said, a lot of places have drink open late but not food, and obviously you need to eat something, but why not eat something delicious and something better than a cheeseburger, right? So I love that. I think that's very thoughtful what you guys are doing, especially for the hospitality community. Let's talk about the menu. So your menu is full of elevated comfort food like Mom's meatloaf and Cajun shrimp and grits. What inspired this menu?
Yeah, I think as we started to look around Saratoga, which really has so many, for the size of this city, has so many great food options, right? Mm-hmm. We kind of, I guess, feel that we recognized a little bit of a gap, something that was missing, which is, when there's an exciting new restaurant opening with a great chef and they're doing something really innovative, that's obviously really fun to do. Like we were talking before we started taping earlier, and we said, can you imagine not enjoying eating? Like how horrible would that be, right? We love to go out and eat and try like the latest new thing and the latest chef and an ingredient we've never heard of and things like that. But it's just not what you want necessarily every day, And so we wanted to put together a menu where you could come on Tuesday on a date, and then on Thursday for takeout because you didn't feel like cooking, and then on Sunday after the kids had practice, or something that was accessible for every day.
Yeah.
And I hope that people leave standard fare after tasting the food, and they don't say, that was so weird. I've never heard of that ingredient before. It was really interesting. I hope they leave and they say, I don't know what they brine their chicken in, but that was the most moist, delicious chicken I've ever had. Or I don't know what their special ingredient in the meatloaf is, but I've never had meatloaf like that. I hope that we can provide the best version of these dishes in a really gourmet way, but in a way that's really accessible and relatable to people.
I said to try it.
Yeah. The menu in itself at a glance, right? We released it into the wild yesterday for people to finally see what we're up to. And that's really exciting because the feedback so far has been really, really, really tremendous and exciting. But the menu at its core, what I think makes it special is frankly, like its simplicity. And in a world with unlimited possibilities in the world of the culinary world.
Yeah.
We wanted to kind of bring it back to basics in a sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bringing back those dishes that are familiar and comfortable, or things that we secretly crave. But, I'm out to dinner. I'm not going to order a pork chop tonight because I can make that at home or whatever. Those types of mentalities or whatever. And they can come in here and actually, yeah, it's a pork chop, but it's like super special, right?
Yeah.
So I think that is a really great thing that we're offering people, is just the simplicity, but the casual elegance of it all.
Yeah.
And we all have memories surrounding food, right? Yeah. Whether it's something that our grandmother cooked when we were small, or a specific meal that we had at a certain time. Most of the time, I think for most of us, that's not scallop crudo, or, it's meatloaf. It's a pork chop. It's cookies. It's,
Yep. I love that.
I'm really excited about the dessert menu.
Ooh.
Okay.
So talk about that.
All of our desserts are going to be made in-house. The concept behind the dessert menu, the baked goods portion of our dessert menu came from the idea of, everybody has the experience of being a kid and going into the local diner, and you walk in and there's this huge cake display case, and beautiful huge cakes rotating and spinning. And it was just like this ooh la la moment as a kid, right? We wanted to take that idea and bring back the large format slice of cake that's just so perfect and beautiful and great to share, or great to go, so you can enjoy it on the couch in your jams, whatever you want to do.
Speaking my language, Shaq.
So we've got a couple of different really great cakes. Our general manager is Sam Pierre, who everybody who comes to Bocage knows Sam, and, whatever. She's the best. And she's secretly a wizard in the world of pastry and baked goods. Ooh. So she put together all of our recipes that we're going to be having. So there's 3 different cakes to start. Homemade cookies. We'll do cookies and milk. And then obviously, what I like to think is the crowning jewel, the ridiculous milkshake that we're offering, that is going to be, like Clark said the other day, and I thought this was really, really poignant and great, especially with the milkshakes. They're not only for the young, but the young at heart,
I love that.
which is really, really great, a really great perspective. Really ridiculous milkshakes with a whole cupcake on it, and all the.
I love that. You're bringing retro back.
To kind of give you a little bit of background on the milkshakes. So we mentioned that Zach and I met when we were both living in the city. Specifically, we both lived in Astoria, Queens at the time, and there was a restaurant there called Mom's that also was kind of a comfort food restaurant. And we were both working in the restaurant industry at the time, and so our schedules could be a little bit weird. Often we were meeting up later at night, and we would see each other. And so it kind of became a routine of ours to go to Mom's and to share a milkshake, and probably some disco fries, this and like that.
And this is the part where they insert one of our engagement pictures of us sharing a ridiculous milkshake.
I love it.
So like there is a connection for us personally, but also it's one of those things that's so simple yet so obvious. Like, why are we not doing something really great and fun, with our food? And so I think the milkshakes are going to be great. Come in after the kids won the Little League, and, I want the teenagers from Saratoga High to get out and be like, oh, meet me at Standard Fare for a shake. And at 4:00, I got all the teenagers sitting at the bar having milkshakes. Like,
I love that.
I see that for our community, and we want to be that place for, again, where Bocage you go and you celebrate with bubbles. Well, the fam can come here and celebrate with a milkshake. I think that's really cool.
I love that. This is great. I'm so excited because, like you said, you are filling a niche or a gap in the culinary scene here in Saratoga. So I can't wait to try it. So for a lot of our listeners, you know that I am recently gluten-free, and I'm very, very excited because you're going to have gluten-free options.
Yay. The crowd goes wild. What was so funny is, and we were talking about this off the air, we were talking about, the menu and the gluten-free thing, and it kind of, it was a happy accident, frankly. we knew we wanted to have options because, in the service industry, we're here to serve, and we wanted to make sure we checked certain boxes.
Yeah.
Again, much like Bocage, standard fare is for everyone. But what was so funny is as we started our menu development and got further into it, it was one of those, oh, yeah, this is gluten-free. Oh, yeah, that's gluten-free too. So, yes, anything that is fried at standard fare on our opening menu, yes, by default is gluten-free. We also have a gluten-free and vegan entree that is not boring. It is delicious, a cauliflower piccata with a simple salad. Just, really beautiful, simple food. We're going to have a zucchini lasagna that's on our salad portion of our menu that is vegan as well. Really, really cool dish.
Zach says lasagna, but for people who are listening, you can't see the air quotes. So it's all vegetables and all nut-based cheeses.
Pinoli ricotta, really, it's a really great dish, and I think it's going to be one of the ones that is going to put us on the map, if you will, because it's quite a unique dish.
So I think we talked about earlier, we released the menu into the wild yesterday, and I was actually surprised to see how much feedback there was on how many gluten-free items that we had. I guess I'm fortunate to not have any kind of intolerances. So I didn't realize how much of a need that was.
Yes, and I love it. And like we said before we got started, a lot of places say they have gluten-free, but if you don't have a dedicated air fryer, for people like me who have celiac, it really does mess with your system.
Yeah.
So it's important.
We have 2 fryers in our kitchen. Like I said, to start in our opening menu, everything that is fried is gluten-free. And then whenever we kind of grow, obviously, if that can't be the case, yes, there's a second fryer that will be dedicated.
Love that.
So yeah, I mean, again, something for everybody.
I love that. Now here's a quick message from our sponsor. Looking for your next unforgettable night out? Let Metroland be your guide. Whether you're craving rooftop cocktails, chef-driven cuisine, or the best live music in the capital region, Metroland connects you with the pulse of Saratoga and beyond. It's your go-to source for where to go, what to do, and who's making waves in the local scene. From hidden gem restaurants and bar openings to weekend event guides and exclusive interviews with the area's top creatives, Metroland brings the capital region to life one story at a time. So before you plan your next night out, check out themetroland.com and follow the Metroland on Instagram. Metroland, discover your scene. So in your press release, you call this place fun dining. What does that mean to you, and how will guests feel that vibe when they walk in your doors?
Fun dining?
Yeah.
Huge if true. Just kidding. No, that's kind of
love it.
I spent the last 5 years of my career working in Michelin star fine dining establishments in the city for some really great globally renowned chefs. And while it was really interesting, frankly, the dining scene, the old school white tablecloth, serve from the right, clear from the left, kind of dining experience is really a thing of the past. We are kind of ushering in a new style of dining. So in my experiences previously, I was met with the challenge of, okay, how do I bring that sophistication, right?
Yeah.
To the table, but in a way where our team they're not automatons, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of started calling it the fun dining approach, right? Fine dining, points of service, right? In an atmosphere that is unpretentious. And, here at Standard Fare, yeah, at first glance, people can say, oh, it's a diner, right? Because of the menu or whatever the case may be. What we set out to do at Bocage, provide excellent service that is unpretentious, right? Well, it's the same concept here, but in a full service arena. And so, yeah, the fun dining, like I tell the team every day, bring yourself to the table. We hired you for a reason.
Yeah.
Right? We'll give you the technique and the foundation, but the finesse is all you.
It's the personality. Yeah. I love it. Well, you guys are fun. So that definitely fits the vibe, right? How did you connect with executive chef Connor DeMarco, and why is he the perfect fit for Standard Fare?
Yeah, so the search for a chef was a long one. If I'm assuming most of your listeners have not opened restaurants before, you have the concept and the space most often a long time before the chef comes along, right? So we were fortunate to have a few people in our back pocket who could help out in those early stages and help us with not only things like planning the kitchen or doing menu development and things like that, but obviously at some point you need to find that person, that is going to put their mark on the restaurant as well. And so the way that process works for us is, we had a few people in mind just from our time in town to kind of touch base with and maybe see if there was a little bit of interest. But kind of along that search, you start to have people cook for you, which is, I know it's exhausting work, but
sounds
someone has
horrible.
to do it.
It's true.
And so Chef Connor, when he cooked for us, I mean, his food was just really fantastic. He really, really understood the concept and was clearly passionate about it. And so I can't say enough good things about his food. But I have to be honest, one of the things that really made us realize that this was going to be the right person for us at Standard Fare was actually that we feel that he'll be a great leader and a great teacher. Kind of in those processes in the early days where he was cooking for us and, talking about like, this is what I would do, or this is my take on this. While the food was amazing, one of our big takeaways was like, wow, won't this guy be really great at leading and developing a team?
Yeah.
We were fortunate enough whenever we went through this process, we had a number of really, really excellent candidates. So whenever it came down to cooking for us, we could have hired any of them, frankly, because they all showed up and put together a really beautiful presentation. And so it was about splitting hairs. And so after the final tasting, Clark and I, the next morning we're getting ready to come in, and Clark says, well, who do you pick? And I said, well, it comes down to two things: who's going to be a good leader and technique, right? And without a doubt, I was like, I think it's Connor. And he was in agreement. And so it made the process of moving forward much more easy and seamless because we were aligned.
Yeah.
Connor obviously was passionate or and excited about what it was we were up to and wanted to get in that kitchen and really bring it to fruition. And so, it was a no-brainer. But it was, like I said, we were really, really pleased with the talent that came out and that we saw.
I don't know what kind of karma we have out there, or whatever it may be, but you hear this sentiment, and it is a true sentiment in hospitality, and I think in probably every industry, but definitely in restaurants, how difficult it is to find great help and great talent, right? And that is just, fortunately, knock on wood, something that we have not encountered here in Saratoga. We say all the time for the last 3.5 years at Bocage how fortunate we've been that we always have another great team member to bring on when we need someone, and I think that we've found really, I'm quite surprised we found the same thing here at Standard Fare.
I love that. We're like a family.
Is amazing.
The right people seem to find us, and even in our interview process for all of our team, whether it's culinary or front of house, excellent attitudes, a genuine appreciation for what it is we're doing, and again, like a really diverse, fun group of people we put together. When you're putting a team together, it's not about who can do the job, right? Or availability. I mean, sure, all of those things go into it, but the fact of the matter is we see these people more than we see our family, more than we see our dogs, right? So a little bit goes into, well, do I want to hang out with these people?
Yeah,
right?
so true.
And it really always shakes out in the right place and the right ways for us.
I love that. So we talked a little bit about the dessert menu. Let's talk about the cocktail menu. What can we expect here at Standard Fare?
I think the cocktail list is just as quirky and exciting and fun as the food menu. I think when it comes to beverage, there is an expectation, right? The Bocage boys, sure, those who might not know us might have preconceived notions or what have you. But we knew whenever we approached the beverage program here, we wanted it to have a sense of humor, right? Again, we take what we do seriously, but we don't take ourselves too seriously.
Love it.
So we kind of wanted to make sure that that was very evident in not only our food menu, but our beverage program. So what's really fun is, yes, we assume this concept will be more cocktail driven, right? So we have a really great lineup of different cocktails. We also have a subsection of our beverage menu that is a martini list. So we have 4 different martinis.
Speaking my language.
And they're all wildly different. We're also offering the tiny teeny on the everyday menu. So you can come in and for $12 have have a tiny teeny of each of them and
No way.
I don't have to put your head first into an Uber.
Oh my God, a flight. All right, I'm here. Guys, I need you to book me right now for August 15th.
Listen.
I want all the gluten-free and the tiny teeny.
The tiny teenies are great. So we've got the martinis, we've got the regular house creations, and then our wine list, we wanted to make sure was just as thoughtful as Bocage, but again, for the everyday. So you might not see as many esoteric or little weirdo grapes on this menu, right? But you'll still have a boutique experience. So I started searching for the wines on this wine list in November of 2024.
Okay.
Right.
Wow.
So we took the same time and attention and care that we do for our Bocage menus over here, but we knew we wanted to have not only approachability, but the soft spot for the prices, right? Over deliver for what it is we're giving you and the value that we're offering our guests. And I think we have a really, really cool, tasty wine list. So I think the beverage list in general here is something that I think not only our Bocage guests are going to be really jazzed about, but also just the everyday guest who is just discovering us are going to really enjoy it too.
Yeah, I can't wait. I cannot wait. So guys, we have to talk about the decor in here. Your collaboration with Daniel Farley, who I believe is your brother-in-law, he added a playful artistic twist. Just looking around at this, we have Duck Duck Goose and a space pickle. I mean, gosh, how did this partnership come about? What inspired this art and how does it all meld with Standard Fare?
A lot of late night brainstorming sessions. So my sister and her husband, Daniel, who did our art, they just recently relocated up here from Dallas. Again, people who just visited Saratoga, fell in love with it. They were tired of the heat in Texas. They work remotely and they say, hey, let's get up to Saratoga.
All right, you're hired for the recruitment team.
Absolutely. And we only bring the best. But they came in and, ironically enough or unironically enough, they live across the hall from us right now. And what's fun is we knew we wanted to have, again, a sense of humor, a playful space. And so we kind of suckered Daniel into doing the art.
There was one day when we were in here and construction had started and we looked around and we said, wow, there's a lot of room for art in here.
Yeah.
It's going to be a full-time job trying to curate the art in the restaurant. And yeah, we were just fortunate that we initially talked to Daniel about just doing a piece. Mm-hmm. And I think it ended up being that he did.
Oh, he committed.
Fully.
He did fully. Four large pieces and a gallery wall.
In the art world here on display, we have our horse art, right? A nod to the culture here in Saratoga. We also have one of the larger pieces right when you first enter, our nod to the duckies at Congress Park.
Yes.
We wanted to kind of, again, have a playful twist on it. So this piece, it's kind of like a Where's Waldo of Congress Park. So there are 81 ducks and 1 goose. So again, like just talking points, for our team with the guests, fun stuff for the guests. Hey, you bring the kiddos and they're getting a little anxious, make them find the goose. It's just, it's really fun.
I love it.
And then the other pieces we know we need them to be this big. And we were like, well, we need to make a nod to Saratoga here and there. So
it was a really funny process.
So it was fun. And he loved it.
Okay.
Not to speak for him, but he also, it was such a moment of self-discovery for him.
Yeah.
He constantly surprised himself throughout this process. And I'm grateful that he attacked it with such gusto, and I think he knocked it out of the park.
I can't stop looking at this one. Obviously, it's in my point of view, but I think Abby said it best. Once you find the goose, you can't unfind the goose.
There's obviously our nod to the Saratoga horse scene, so we have a fun...
We told Daniel everywhere in Saratoga has horse art.
Yeah.
You have to have horse art, but it can't be like the horse art everywhere else.
Yeah.
So when people come in and see that piece, I think the initial reaction might be like, what?
But that's the point, right?
Art name?
Yes. So all of these pieces do have names. The horse is called Thad's Pick. Thad is Cameron and I's father, and there's a whole backstory on why that is a thing. So then we'll obviously once we open, we're gonna put Daniel out there a little bit and share the stories behind all of these pieces, because they really are very cool.
They're so cool, and it's so different. Everything you're doing here is unlike anything else in Saratoga.
Thank you.
So you guys nailed it, and I just think that the art couldn't have been more fitting for this space. So I have to ask, what's your favorite dish on the menu, or what are you most excited about in general with this location?
Ooh, there are so many good things. Zach likes to say there are no skips.
If this were an album, yes. If this were an album, there are no flops, no B-side, no skips.
Oh, like a music, yes.
Yes.
All right, don't like this. Got it. There are no skips here.
So, but to highlight a few that I'm a personal favorite of, I love the quote-unquote lasagna. Is one of my favorite dishes. The meatloaf is unlike any meatloaf you will have ever had. And I'm a big pork chop. I always ask Zach. I always order the pork chop. So the pork chop is great, and it's a very kind of a twist on that very traditional take of pork chops and applesauce.
Okay.
And
applesauce?
Yeah. So it's with an apple chutney, so it's a little rougher, but.
Yeah, so, and for me, obviously, as I stated and gushed earlier, I'm obviously excited about the dessert menu. But wildly enough, I am very, very excited about the salads. All of our salad dressings are made here in-house. They're all super unique. So I'm excited about the salads. The broiled oysters with crab fat butter and chili vinegar, I'm super excited about that. And then the Blue Plate special on Wednesday, which will be lobster thermidor. Let's bring back the oldies, right? I'm super excited about that.
Yes. Oh my God. I'm like salivating. All right, guys. So Standard Fare is officially opening its doors on August 15th. Reservations beginning on August 1st. How are you feeling in these final days leading up to the launch?
Like a crazy person. No, it's so funny. People always ask us this question, and Clark and I, we shared the exact same sentiment of, it doesn't matter how many times we've done this in the past for how many different restaurant groups on how many different scales. It's different when it's yours.
Yeah, right?
So we signed the lease in this space back in October, and we didn't take possession until January. So obviously it's been quite a long road getting here, and it's been so much fun. And preparing to open the doors, obviously there's excitement and anticipation, and that's great. But I'm really just ready to start welcoming people in the space, because it's a restaurant is about the people.
Yeah.
Right. And until I hear that chatter and the laughter and the kind of clinking of glasses, that's when the story of what Standard Fare is, I think, really starts.
Yeah. Oh, that's so exciting. It does sound like it has been a long journey for you guys, but a great one that is coming to fruition soon. All right, guys, what's next for Zach and Clark? You mentioned brunch, lunch, takeaway options. Can you give us a hint of what to expect in phase 2?
Yes, we definitely wanted to start with dinner service only. Again, perfect perfect our service, use that time to build the clientele, right? And one of the things when Clark and I were traveling up here, whether it was building Bocage or building Standard Fare, again, it was like, it's lunch. Nothing's open except the same, handful of places. Let's make sure that we're available for lunch, right? Just to give people another option, right? So we're going to be launching lunch service sometime in September, along with delivery and carry out, brunch on the weekends. Everybody we here loved Ravenous. This, when Ravenous was here, they were here for almost 20 years. And so we said when we start brunch, we'll do a savory crepe and a sweet crepe just to kind of, pay homage and, give back to the community a bit. Again, that
very thoughtful,
that nostalgic feeling, right?
I love that.
And then personally, we're just going to enjoy the ride. A
vacation would be nice.
It would be great. And we're not going to rush into another business opportunity just yet. There's plenty of time for that, and there's plenty of things in our personal lives that we want to put in the driver's seat that we've kind of put off while we've planted our roots. So
you're busy. You're busy, guys. I think a vacation is earned at this point. Hope you go somewhere warm.
Oh, certainly.
All right, fast facts. Ready? Red or white?
Red.
Depends on the time of year.
Agreed. All right. Favorite champagne house?
Drapier.
I second that one.
Louisiana or New York?
Ooh, that's tough. Can I have both?
Depends on the time of year. No, honestly, both for separate reasons. I will always love Louisiana. It runs through my veins, but there is no place on earth like New Orleans.
Okay.
There's no place on earth like it.
Okay. I have to check it out. Maybe you can give me a tour.
Let's go.
Love to. All right. Breakfast or dinner?
Breakfast for dinner.
Ooh.
I married a psycho. Dinner and a big one.
3 courses, please.
Yes, please.
Meatloaf or pork chop?
Pork chop.
Meatloaf.
All right. Milkshake or cookie?
Milkshake.
Milkshake.
All right. Ready?
Yeah.
Duck or goose?
Duck, because they're delicious.
Goose, because they're silly.
Yes. I love it. You guys are silly. This was great. Guys, I had such a good time with you here today. I am honored to have a first look, and I will be here on August 15th.
We can't wait to have you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Please like, subscribe, rate, or review our show. Thank you.
This episode is sponsored by Julie & Co. This podcast is produced by Discover Saratoga and Bright-Sided Media.